Zoom like things that I've done people's backgrounds or just their bookshelves like
All right. So, welcome everybody. We're
thank you.
recording. Good to see everybody. We see Ty is here right off the bat with some sort of Popeye hat on. That's really cool. Remember Popeye? So, welcome everybody. Dr. JC, otherwise known as the Dragon. And it's just always fun. Everything's always going to tie in with other things. Um, And one of them was going to be this relationship we have with the word fulfillment and how it plays into integration and everything like that. And it's interesting because right now, just organically, I'm recognizing how much I appreciate. Um, I'm in Greenwich, Connecticut right now. Like I'm not at ceremony and in that environment with you guys and girls. But I get a little bit of that when I see you like this. It's so I'm just so grateful for this thing that we do, this, Arkana integration mastermind, that we have. Um, and I'm sure you understand what that's like. It's sometimes a big part of integration is just reintegrating, and being with our friends. The relationships that we build from this are just so magical and just so real. And some of you I've never even met. Here comes Valeria. So we're just honored and privileged to have you here. We do this about once a month, and this is something that really represents what makes Arkana unique. Not that it even tries to be unique, but the Arkana, mission and experience just goes so far beyond the retreat. And part of that is those relationships, but also it's, just recognizing something that Valeria, Billy, and Jose, and all of and Bob from the Sacred Valley, we just hear so often that the integration process and the experience as a whole is very much, something that happens once we get home, and it's not just that experience while we're there when things can seem so clear and fulfilling while we're there. So just once again, it's great that we have this ability to do this, and we have Arkana to thank for that. So what I want to do is I want to just stimulate a conversation here on the topic. And but Billy, before I get into that, do you want to finish what you were saying before when I said we should record?
Yeah, I was just saying about the reunion retreats.
Right. Do you want to mention that at the end or now?
At the end. We'll do that at
Okay,
the end. Yeah.
gotcha. Okay. All right. So, I was thinking about this idea because Billy and I have these conversations about like what we're going to have the topic be about, and we always want to make it relevant to the integration process, but just this whole experience. And we came up this time. Billy kind of said, "How about fulfillment?" And we just start thinking about like what does that mean, and we have our fun back and forth conversations, and we go, "Oh yeah, that's it." So ha, I'm sure you guys know who Eckhart Tolle is, and just one of his famous books was The Power of Now, and I want to just share some of that with you, just so you can so I can kind of season the pot and get your minds in the right place. So Eckhart Tolle, talks a lot about the power of now. And the reason why it's so important is because most of our lives are lived without knowing it in what we call the not now. So that's an interesting thing to play with right now, is to just always catch yourself hoping and praying and even living rather than the present moment in the not now. So here's what Eckhart Tolle says, usually after he takes like a 5-minute pause and then starts talking. He says, time isn't precious at all, which I think is so funny. He says, time isn't precious at all because time is actually an illusion. He goes, what you perceive as precious is not time, but the one point that is out of time, outside of time, which is the now. So that is precious indeed, but has nothing to do with time because every single second that we're in the now passes, right? Um, so that's the past and the future. The more you miss the now, the more precious, it becomes. So we're not racing against time. He says we're running from presence. That's so cool to just
Yeah.
like in a frustrating way recognize that. From the quiet truth that arises when we stop measuring, optimizing, and achieving. So when it comes to fulfillment, and this is where the idea started to come into my head, and I'll make it relevant to Arkana and integration. He says, because in stillness, in the stillness of the present moment, the illusion falls away. And the illusion is that fulfillment is something that exists out there. You'll notice that a lot of us are seeking fulfillment, and I don't know if you guys understand what it means to assess where your locus of control is placed, but you either have an external locus of control, meaning you're giving the locus of control to external things, like things that you're seeking, right? So catch yourself right now coming home from ceremony or in the integration process, seeking something. So that would be an external locus of control, meaning if you don't find it, you're out of control. So an internal locus of control would be something more in the present moment that's inside of you. So another illusion is that you're incomplete without progress. Oof.
Mm.
God, when I read that, I was like, holy cow. JC, I caught you, right? That I feel incomplete without achievement and progress. And that pausing means falling behind. Ever catch yourself so involved in where you're going and what you're looking to accomplish, even with integration, right? Finding the answers, finding the truth, that you forget to just pause and be still in the moment. And the reason why makes sense, right? Is because you've probably been programmed that that would be a waste of time or falling behind. So here's the relevance. When we come back from a plant medicine retreat, very often people report that they feel disoriented and things like that and confused and we hear a lot of people in this group sharing like, well, should I go back or do I need another retreat or something like that. So there's very often some confusion, needless confusion, but confusion. I've had it too. I very often am confused, or at least it perceived that I do. So during the ceremony though, so go back there to that moment, you may have found yourself touching like on some sort of a depth of inner peace, love, or maybe your, purpose that felt more real than anything before, which can be scary too. Just you remember that when you touched just that realness of you, right? Um, you may have remembered parts of yourself that the world has somehow managed to teach you to forget. That's an interesting thing that I experienced when I was on retreat is that it's not that I found myself learning something new. I almost found myself being reminded of something that already was, that I had been coerced into forgetting by my mother, father, teacher, preacher, society, evolution, all that wonderful stuff. So you may have even said something like at ceremony, you might have even said something like, this is who I am. And you might have even cried as a result of that. So, but then we find ourselves going home and being subjected to our routines, our default mode, our regularly scheduled program, our responsibilities, distractions, all of that stuff. And we can very easily get caught up in thinking that integration is about dealing with those things. And that's by the way, why I love going back to retreat, because I have this perception that while I'm at retreat, those things disappear. Why can't I do that while I'm home? Make those things disappear. Isn't that interesting? And I know Valeria is very passionate about that idea. So, um, and when we come home, sometimes we notice that the feeling starts to fade, right? It's like our Arkana meter starts to like look like it's going down, and we need like some sort of a fix or something like that. Um, so the insights that we had, I wrote a lot of notes, and I hope you guys journaled about it. They start to dim, under the weight of our daily life. And I think you guys can all resonate with that. So then suddenly, you find yourself grasping again, trying to get back to the clarity, right, that you had at the retreat, the circle. Does everybody remember who is to the right or left of you? I think about that all the time. I always wonder, like, how did that dude end up like right next to me, And I remember the time that he looked like a 900-pound giant. And that was what I realized, oh, that's what ayahuasca is. Or when Billy walked by and somehow turned into a donkey, you know, those were some of the insights that I remember. But when I came back, it started to dim, right? So, however, the work of integration, what we're learning here, and that's why we meet, is not to go back and try to recreate that moment. Oh, am I boring you, Dylan? You're yawning. That was a big yawn. That's actually a good way to purge, right? The yawn. Good. See, he's purging right now. Um, so it's not to go back and try to recreate the moment. It's to recognize that what you met in the ceremony was nothing new. It was you. I love that. Let me read that again. Chills right there. So it's to recognize that what you meant in the ceremony was nothing new. It was you. So the ceremony, what it really did was it just cleared the noise, gave you an experience of a noise-free clearing. So your opportunity now is inviting you to just simply stay clear. And I'll tie that to fulfillment in a second. So the truth that you touched still actually lives inside of you. It never went away. It's just that when you came home, you let other things become important again. Rather than just observing things, you started participating with things again. Those things didn't disappear in ceremony. You just stopped participating with them and acknowledging them, and allowed yourself to just see what already was. So fulfillment is not the reward of medicine. It's actually the echo of your remembering. So what I want to talk about now, if that didn't get in your brain with like some sort of a blender and puree it, I would love to just acknowledge the fact that fulfillment is not something that we necessarily have to seek or achieve. Rather, just remember. And what I'm saying is that the medicine might not have taught us anything new. It just might have shown us what already was, and that would be you. So I don't know if you want to kick off some thoughts about that, Billy, or anybody else, but I love this topic.
I had a vision while you were just explaining that of a seabed. I was thinking about cave diving, but like a seabed, when you like kick up, going home is like kicking up the dirt. It's like because you get all this stimuli, um, marketing, distractions, people, spaces, energy, and it's like kicking up the dirt. So you almost can't. When you're here, you're so still. Like you sit with yourself. You're on retreat. You retire into the self. You're surrounded by nature. Everything's taken care of. You're in this like stillness. And slowly, with the help of medicines and other practices, you start to see yourself as you are. And when you go home, you like kick up all this seabed, so you can't see through clearly anymore. And in the now, in the eternal now, you're talking in that stillness. If you let that settle, then you can see clearly. And when we were choosing the topic of this talk, like we were just going back and forth, and I realized like fulfillment is like 3 words, and it's like fully filling the moment, which is the now. So the question is like, how do you fully feel the moment now and now and now? And then that's whatever's inspires you, whatever comes from your heart. And I was telling Valeria this last night. We were having a conversation about the word art being in the word heart. I'm going to keep on sharing this because I like the principle, which is like when you're connected to your heart, and now you're connected to your art, which is inspiration, co-creation, joy, abundance, beauty, and connected to the heart. You are in the art. And then as you express your art, which is expressing the divine through your heart, you fully feel the moment, whatever that is to you. And yeah, that's all I'm going to share.
I love that idea of fully feeling. That was super, super cool. I'm gonna pose a question that I think everybody here can answer. And maybe we'll have some fun with that. I love the seabed, by the way. Totally makes sense, you know? And I just got frustrated thinking about messing it up and just getting it all messed up. But, you know, it's very hard to just have a non-messed up seabed. So think about this. Go back and think about during your ceremony, and you can pick any one because a lot of you have been on multiple ones, but think about a profound moment during one of your ceremonies. Um, and think about what you experienced or realized that felt deeply true to you about yourself. Deeply true to you about yourself. And what part of that truth feels the hardest to access now that you're home? Does anybody resonate with that? Can anybody share something profoundly deep that they learned about themselves that they find challenging to go back to here? Ty.
Yeah, I just got back from Mexico with Billy and Jose and Greer and Valeria. Absolutely groundbreaking. It's one of these moments that it's hard to fathom that there's so much more to experience, so much more to learn. And that certainly is ego getting in the way, thinking like, I got enough on this spiritual path, and I need to work on some other pieces of my life, these modalities, these things that don't involve plant medicine, and all those things were helpful. But going out there was a big change for me. And so what I first experienced in Peru was I was there to navigate some extreme traumas that I had gone through in my life. But ultimately what happened was I identified with that trauma. Like I was that trauma. I was this broken self. And so when Peru in the jungle eradicated that, showed me a new path, and I was able to successfully integrate that over the last 3 years. When I go back into plant medicine ceremony, I no longer had that identity. Honestly, I didn't even know what I identified as at all. And so going into it as a completely fresh face of whatever can happen while I'm a student to this medicine, I'm open to it. And I mean, the ones that were there can attest it was quite the journey that I personally went on. And if I were to consolidate to the very end of what was one of my biggest breakthroughs, it was that I I I share myself fully with my community. I do everything I can to assist others in their spiritual journey. I pour into the containers nonstop. But unknowingly, I was still kicking up the sand. I was still just moving as much as I could, like, oh, this person needs me, this person needs me, this person needs me. And I'm just running around and the seabed's just rising and rising and rising. And I can't even see my own hand in front of my face, let alone my reflection in the mirror. It allowed me to sit still for a while, focus on myself. And I share my love with so many people, and I've realized I've never once considered sharing love for myself. And that was a really tough lesson to accept, the fact that I still continue. I'm going to get emotional thinking about it because I still continue to struggle with like giving myself the opportunity to feel love for myself. I think of my past transgressions. I think of my things that I've done in my life. Like I don't deserve to feel loved, let alone me feel loved by myself. And since I came back, integrations, you know, somehow I smoothly integrated from Peru. This one's been a really rocky integration. And I think it's more of a testament of this is how big of a change is taking place in my life, that integration seems to be even more difficult, more daunting as you go through a bigger transformation. And as that transformation takes place, you're going to have all of these. It can be people, it can be work, it can be social media, it can be news, whatever it is. It seems like they recognize this massive change and it scares the shit out of them. And so they're going to do everything they can to pull you back to an older version. And so since I've came back, I've had that happen probably 6 times. And some just like, I thought I could meet with this person that I haven't talked to in 15 years. And they were so excited to hear my journey that I've been on and everything that I've gone through over the last 15 years. And so I meet with the person, and what it ended up being is they wanted to bring me back to a 22-year-old version of myself. That was 1,000 versions of me ago. And I felt broken. I felt like I couldn't even speak up for myself. Like I didn't want to invalidate where they were in their journey. So I played the role of being this version that made them feel comfortable. And what I learned from that moment was this is also part of the integration, it's part of the lesson, because the way I felt following that meeting, I mean, it took me 48 hours to like brush it off. And that's not like me. I can usually get out of that stuff easily, but it stuck with me hard. Like, why did you let that person say that to you or make you feel that way? Or so I started beating myself up. And what I found, the beauty of it was how much I've changed. That 15 years ago, I would have been totally fine with that interaction. And now it literally makes me feel ill. And it was a moment of the change is happening. Now you have this lesson. Now you know that you can speak up for yourself, that you want to speak for yourself to allow this new self to continue to proliferate in this world. And we're going to make mistakes in integration. It's going to happen, but mistakes are lessons. That's all it is. And we learn from them, recognize it, not beating ourselves up, even if it's for a moment. Like Billy said, let the dirt, the sand settle, sit with yourself. And that's the uncomfortable piece, is sitting with yourself when you're already feeling uncomfortable. You know, when we're feeling discomfort, we're going to move, distract, whatever it is. I can focus on this next thing. But sitting with it was actually when the dust settled, and I realized, no, the change has already happened, and it's up to me to fulfill it. And I think of the word fulfill. I'm going to take a page out of Billy's book here and split the word in half. There's full and fill. There's this idea that we're full and we don't have to continue to fill, but that's exactly the opposite of what takes place. Is we continue to fill the full. We live in abundance and we share that full fill with others. But first, we must remain full ourselves before we can fill others.
So what you're saying is we're all full of it.
We're all full of it. We've always been full of it.
So what's interesting, I mean, I could probably just pick anybody here and ask them, what do you love about Ty? Like, does anybody want to tell me something they love about Ty? Go ahead, Greer.
Okay, mine's maybe a little bit very specific, but I was in a lovely mushroom ceremony with Ty, and My intention had been to laugh, and Valeria also opened my throat chakra, which may have been a mistake, but so I had a moment where I just could not contain my laughter, and the rest of the room was pretty quiet and serious. And Ty, beautifully, in the midst of his own journey, with a beautiful, serene Buddha smile on his face, opened his arms and welcomed my laughter. And it was one of the most beautiful moments of my life.
So now my question is, Ty, do you love that about yourself?
Absolutely, man. I did this practice with some people in Mexico City that I took back from Peru. And that was this really, and you can do this with anybody in your life. It's being intentional, sharing that moment with somebody, looking them in their eyes. And it's the most basic thing you can do. You just simply say, when I see you, I see. And you then describe what you see. It's really interesting that's what plant medicine does in my experience is it removes you from your own thoughts and gives you that zoomed out perspective. And then when you have that zoomed out perspective, everything is so simple. You're like, of course you deserve love. What are you talking about? Why are you beating yourself up? And it's like this thing that we try to hold on to, but just that sit down and have that conversation, that's plant medicine in itself. Like hearing Greer say that's plant medicine for me. She gives me that zoomed out perspective.
What the reason why I wanted to bring that up is because you made a statement that so many, we have a lot of givers in here, and givers very often take note that they don't receive, and claim that that's some form of a struggle. But, what you just did is you just realized that, what you love about yourself and what you do for yourself is very often being a giver. Right. And I would agree with that. Guys, remember, isn't it mysterious how God, the universe, the divine has mysteriously and inconveniently placed everything we desire right on the other side of a pile of shit. Right. So it gives us the ability to start, maybe create a different relationship that maybe the best part of life is not this not now situation. It's just coming home to ourselves. And I think that that's what Ty just acknowledged happened when he was in the medicine. It's just you took your mask off and you just were you. And it seems to work for everybody around you. So Greer, you had your hand raised. Did you want to comment on something? And then we'll go to Nikki.
Oh, yeah. Well, and mine kind of goes right off of Ty and what you were just saying is, again, in that same mushroom ceremony, my intention had been to laugh and have fun, but, I wanted to be respectful of everyone else, of course. And, I was laying there trying to be in my own process. And of course, especially with ayahuasca, everyone says, stay in your own process. Don't pay attention to what's going on around you. And I sat like bolt upright, and then I don't know, Billy can probably attest to the fact that I just sat up for the rest of the ceremony. And I wanted to be present with everyone in the room. I wanted to feel what everyone was feeling. I wanted to be just extremely connected to my community. And I realized that that's what makes me happy is to yes, help other people, give other people my empathy. And I've been fighting with this. I'm like, you have too much empathy, all this stuff. And um I was sending love around the room to the point where somebody gave me the nickname the Love Fairy. And I was like, this is that's an amazing nickname to be given, right? And I was just so happy, even when I was crying with people or feeling the intensity of someone like Ty's experience, I was feeling it all. And I was just so grateful for it and welcoming it all and everything. And, it was really profound for me because it was so simple, right? I like helping other people and I really like laughing. And that, the laughter comes from me, not other people, right? And I had lost that idea. I was thinking I need somebody else to make me laugh. And that laughter, anybody that heard it, Ty heard it, when I finally let it out, it was just so amazing and beautiful. And so, but it is really hard to carry that home because you're immediately thrown into the crazy freaking Mexico City airport and then crazy JFK. And, I'm trying to be the love fairy and people are swearing and pushing people out of the way. And I'm trying to keep my love fairy vibes. And, it's definitely hard. But it also reminded me, and Jose kept saying this, especially after that ceremony, that the medicine is community, right? Like when I'm sitting here with you guys right now, I can laugh and laugh and laugh, and you guys aren't, well, you may judge me, but I don't care, because I know it's going to be good judgment. And, I've laughed with a lot of you here in ways that, I don't laugh at home. And it's hard because you start laughing like that at home and people think you're not serious. And, I'm a very responsible person, and I've had some very serious things happen to me. And all that time I felt like, well, you can't laugh, because if you laugh, people will think you're not taking it seriously. And so now the trick is like, how do I keep laughing and keep laughing, but not have people hear think, oh, she's just crazy and just laughs at everything and thinks everything's silly, because that's not what it's about. So that's the struggle for me.
You're reminding me of this. There's a great video on, I think it was like on YouTube, of this guy that is on a train and he just starts cracking up and everybody in the whole train starts to laugh. So I can't imagine like ever getting in trouble for laughing unless somebody's performing and you're laughing at them. Valeria, before we go to Nikki, I want to ask you a question. So she was, it's funny because a big part of the struggle is people struggling with allowing themselves to have a voice, and so we try to create a voice that is appropriate and acceptable. But you go and you release the throat chakra. So what is the intention behind that? What's the value of allowing someone to? I mean, you did something for her, and it allowed her to just let it out. What was that about? Because there could be a lesson in that.
Yeah, so what we did with Greer, I guess she's been asking me about all the mantras, different mantras, and what essentially when we sing mantras is that we're tuning back to the vibration of the divine, of the love, and that's it. It's as simple as that. When we are connected to the divine, when we're connected to the love, then we can open up our voice. We can be truly ourselves. Even when we laugh, we don't feel like, I need to make myself small so that others feel good, because that comes from the place of love. And I was thinking when Igor said about, the Ganesha mantra. Ganesha is a removal of obstacles in Hindu tradition. And when you're going after retreat, you're going in the airport, this is what I do every time. When something is like not working, or, you're like, oh my God, my bag is so overweight, how am I gonna get through this without paying so much extra? And I'm always like, Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. And I don't know, magically, it just always works, because what mantra is, it's a sound vibration, and it carries a code in it that is like, you're decoding the vibration and the situations around you. Well, yeah, and we did a Reiki with Greer, but it's all about, it's all about tuning yourself into that vibration of love. And Greer, you don't need to say sorry for giggling and having fun and being smiley yourself. Yeah, that's all actually, I wanted to add already earlier about fulfillment as well, is that fulfillment and integration, oftentimes when I do the one-on-one integration coaching, I notice that people have this concept of that they need to be integrated very fast, or once they come home, that's like an immediate thing that needs to be done. But integration is a life process. As long as you have the body, you'll always have some work to do. And especially when you come to a retreat like this, you're opening a Pandora's box. But the thing is, you can learn how to make it fun. You can learn how to be fulfilled even in the suffering, even in those hard moments, even with your partner, when you're having whatever little things, or with your parents. Like, the fulfillment is being okay even when you're not okay. So I just wanted to add that you don't need to be ready today. You don't need to be ready in 2 months. You don't need to be ready in 2 years. It's always a process. It's always ups and downs. Just learn how to ride the wave and you'll be fine. That's it.
Has anyone on that and on filling the cup and being full of it. Has anyone seen that video of the cup of water with like dirt in it? You basically just keep on pouring water in it and slowly it overflows the cup and all the dirt comes out with it. So the more you pour in, the more it cleanses itself until it's just completely cleansed. And so filling the cup or like what do you fill it with is just the more nourishment, the more love, the more positive energy, the more beauty, the more abundance you fill it with. Slowly, like all of these challenges, like what we perceive as suffering or pains or troubles, trials, tribulations, they just slowly cleanse. And all you have to do is keep on pouring it and let it overflow itself. And I just two more things, because I know Nikki can't put up her hand and she meant to put up her hand. is on like, which ties into everything that you guys are saying. One is I was thinking about the concept of like beating ourselves up. Like I do it. I'm sure we all give ourselves a hard now and again, if not all the time. And then I was like, who do you beat up? And then I was thinking about the concept of the child within. So your inner child. Would you beat up your child self if you had 3-year-old you next to you? Like, would you beat that up? I mean, hopefully not. Would you nurture that child? Would you show it love, support, guidance? Would you let it just be a full expression of its playful self, eager to learn, observing all the beauty in the world, and like be that for yourself, because you are that. We are all children of the universe. We are not even 1 year old in reality, in the length and breadth of the time span of this earth, of the universe. We are children. And so don't beat yourself up. Love yourself up and love that child. Love that child. Carry that 3-year-old with you. Be playful, be joyful, be eager to learn, be in awe of everything, because this is all beautiful. And the last thing, which again ties this up because it has the words in it. And I was thinking about like Greer in the airport, or Ty's challenges with his former friend. And I'm going to read this quote really quickly because I love it. And it says it in it, which is, our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, or fabulous? But actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God, and your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine as children do. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. So when you are the candle, you're the candle in the dark, you light up everyone around you. So never shrink, but rise. Be more light. When you feel that feeling come, when you feel like somebody is pulling you down and you have to be on their level, or whether you're laughing and people think you're silly, laugh harder, shine brighter, and eventually you will end up lighting them up too. And then we spread that love moment by moment, person to person, in everything we do. That's it. Sorry, Nick.
So, Nikki, just so you know, if you go to the bottom of your Zoom, you'll see something that looks like a heart. And if you click on it, that's where those options are. So now you're fully equipped for raising your hand. But you have to unmute yourself.
I just want to thank Dylan for the sage advice. I was like, oh yeah, I could just like sit here like this, but I was like, didn't want to look like a pillock. So, but anyway, my most amazing experience was when I did a bufo ceremony, because I struggle with ayahuasca, but when I did a bufo ceremony I had that complete melting into light and love. And I was like, okay, we come from love, we come from light, we are love, we are light. I was like, oh yeah, makes so much sense. But then I get back to my reality and I'm like, you know, so many spiritual teachers, everyone's talking about light and love. And I'm like, oh God, I want to be light and love. And I'm being like a judgmental bitch right now, whatever. And it's like how to remain in, how to, like, I know that that's what it is. Like, I know that the answer is love and light, but it's like, how do I be that on a daily basis? Like, how do other people manage to stay in that? Do you know what I mean?
Well, that's kind of what this whole conversation is about, is asking yourself first why you think that you would need to become something that you already are. Maybe that's the interesting challenge with integration. That's what I meant about, it's always a good idea to look at where the control is. So that idea of an external locus of control would be this idea that you would have to become something rather than acknowledge what you already are, right? So isn't that fascinating how we spend so much time trying to become something we are, right? Ty, you look like you raised your hand when she said that. Go for it.
Yeah, it's something that I run into quite often with my breathwork class on every Sunday that we host. And there's these questions of plant medicine, like how does it change your life? And that I think is one of the biggest misconceptions, is that plant medicine is what heals you. Plant medicine is this incredible tool to show you the truth of who you are, show you that new path. But that's all it really can do, is that it gives you the new vision of what and who you are, something that you always have been, and pulls down all of the things that we have constructed on top of our divine foundation, because society says we got to have this type of house, this type of car, this type of family. We build this whole thing up. And when we step back and look at it, it's built of scraps. We wonder why it isn't so strong, why it's not sturdy, because it's not built in the divine. And so plant medicine has this beautiful ability to collapse all of that you'd built, start again from your divine foundation, and start to build with intention. So when you go back home, you have now gone back to divine foundation, and it's up to you to then build with intention, with the divine in mind, and then it becomes much easier to stay in that space. And so the way you felt, very real. The way you saw yourself, very real. It's up to you to build the structure now with intention so that you stay in that space. The society, the outside world will do everything it can to say, no, 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 use this structure, use this structure. And you have to be the one that's like, remember that Bufo experience, remember the plant medicine experience. Is this divine?
Yeah, which would be probably very challenging to do if you're watching the news and and doom scrolling and stuff like that. You know, I always think about how jealous I am when, you know, Billy, Valeria, Jose, and all of you guys like have shitty internet, you know, because like what a blessing. Valeria, that was great.
Yes, I wanted to, since Nikki has been coming to the online breathwork sessions, I wanted to ask, is bringing you remembrance of the light within? Have you found any help through that?
I mean, yeah, when I do the sessions and when I have the moments of it, when I'm in it, yeah, I just find it, I just find it, I think it's just that I like everyone here, I love seeing everybody here with their beautiful auras and their smiles and it's like, that's what I want to be able to be more of and put out into the world. But I find that I do let myself, I shut that side down a lot, or I don't find it difficult to sustain. So in the moments of the breath work and the aftermath, and I'll be like, ah, and then it'll be like, you know. So yeah, I think it's just that, like Ty was saying, is to just keep that it is that constant reminder. And I think sometimes it's almost like you want that light bulb to just go off and just be like, yes, I've had this epiphany and this is who I am, and you know, and it's just going to be, but it is almost like that it is that constant practice, daily practice of like, okay, I've got to get back to the light, I've got to get back to the love, or be part, you know, and then go forward from there. And I think sometimes there's resistance to that in terms of like, I don't want to have to do this and I don't want to have to do that. I just want to jump out of bed and be like this joyful love spirit, you know. And it's like, oh God, here we go again, Nikki. So yeah.
And that's exactly the thing, that there will be always ups and downs, no matter if you do every day. Sometimes you do a breathwork session or Kriya session or whatever it is, you'll always end up in a situations, or sometimes you will end up in a situations that your light will be dimmed again. And that's the thing about the cup. You have to keep pouring that clear water into the cup, otherwise, you know, the mud will come back. And yeah, it's not about, you know, becoming, again, I think it's the mind construct that wants us to be today ready, this person that we kind of created in our mind, or that the plant medicine showed that is our highest self. But it's a way, that it's a process to get there, and you're doing already great. Like, don't be so harsh on yourself. Take step by step. As long as you're taking those little steps forward and remembering that it's okay. You know, now I'm not my best self, but the awareness is already a big step of progress, you know. And if you look on a long term, like way back, let's say how a person has been before, you'll see a huge progress. But maybe today you don't feel in that moment, when that light is dimmed, that you've progressed so much. So keep doing the work, and you know, you always have these tools whenever you feel like, you know, the light is not so bright. Then just take a moment, sit down, use even 5 minutes of breath, and you'll be like, okay, now I remember who I am. So yeah, don't give up. You're doing great.
Talking
No,
of ups, talking of ups and downs, is Ty shared recently about the heartbeat in his group share, about like that it comes in waves like this, right? And then so does the sun. It comes in waves. The ocean has waves, but the sun is always light. The ocean always has depth. The heart always has love. So like beyond that, the human experience and the egoic mind, which is like always wants the easy. It's like the hard is, like our guru says, like to take the easy path is like, or like the comfortable path is like, or take action on the disruptive behavior, like a bad diet and all these things, is the super simple thing. When actually like aligning with the depth of the true self is like the hard path. And it's up to us to discipline ourselves. And discipline is disciple, right? To be the student of that path, which aligns us on that on a regular basis, no matter that we're constantly coming in waves. And yet we are always love and we are always light. We always have that. And also just one last thing, Nikki, is like something I realized recently, which I keep telling people now, is like, I realized like we're all fucked up. That's why we're here. You know, if we weren't fucked up, we would be in unity with the divine, because we would have liberated ourselves from this cycle of death and rebirth, karmic imprints, and so on and so forth. So the fact that we're here having this human experience means that each one of us is fucked up. And that's perfectly okay. It's not about not being that. It's about like accepting and honoring that and tuning yourself. Like Valeria says, like you tune yourself through practice every single day. This is like a one of the P's in the Arkana integration, which is pilgrimage, like pilgrimage to the inner self. And a way to do that, obviously, is to do these breath works, etc. But it's also to create yourself an altar and go to that place where you find stillness, where you find solace, reverence, and and recenter into this remembrance of the self, of the love, of the divine, and then know that when you're not feeling that, that's perfectly okay, and honor that. Don't be hard on yourself, like I say. Just be a 3-year-old and say, like, what would you tell the 3-year-old? You'd be like, it's okay. Feel that way. That's okay. And then what can you do to realign, recenter yourself? And then you go again. And also, every time I see you, I have no idea what you're talking about because I just think you're a wonderful human. So I mean, I see your light. I think we probably all see your light, and you just have to see your light for yourself also.
Yeah, and it's fun to also recognize that there's a little bit of a game going on. When you look at the sky, you'll notice something, that the clouds don't make the sky. The clouds actually pass by, but you can very easily say that it's cloudy out. In NLP, neuro linguistic programming, they remind you that you're the one that gives everything meaning. So it's fun every now and then to ask yourself why you gave something a certain meaning, you know? And that idea of being fucked up, I'd rather be fucked up than fucked down. There's a little bit of a shift for you. I mean, you can choose to be fucked up or fucked down. And which would you choose? So by being fucked up, I met all of you guys. So that's pretty sweet. Greer. You got to unmute yourself.
I know, sorry, it was blocked by the chat thing. So yeah, Nikki, I just wanted to say what you were saying really resonates with me because you said, I see all these people sitting here with these beautiful smiles, and I've been to Arkana 6 times now, and then on another retreat with Billy and Valeria. So I've been around some of these people now. We really are family. And they are the beautiful, wonderful people that you see, but they're also human beings, right? And it took me a little while to figure that out. We go on retreat and we see these facilitators, and they seem like they have it all together, and they're beautiful, and they're got these beautiful smiles, but they're also human. So are the shamans. They have their own struggles. And the first time I saw Billy get a tiny bit angry, it was at a log in a fire. It wasn't at a person. But I was like, oh, he gets angry, and I told him the next day because I was laughing about it. And he's like, yeah, I get angry, And so it was, I have to remind myself that these guys are beautiful, and they are my goal to be like them as well. But, they also are human at the end of the day. And so I think we compare ourselves to them, and it's like, because it seems like this impossible goal, but they're human beings, and they all got here through this same struggle, right? Like they all came as guests to Arcana, or some other place. And so it's not like they were just perfect embodied human beings, the moment they were born. And also, some of the most influential people in the world that we all kind of look up to were people that at their core were a little bit pissed off. Like Jesus was a little bit pissed off. MLK was a little bit pissed off. Gandhi was a little bit pissed off, right? Like these were guys who had some Mother Teresa, they had some feelings about something they were angry about, and they turned it into something good. But at their core, they had something that was upsetting them. So even they were just human beings at the end of the day. And so I have to remind myself all the time, because I'm like you. I look at everybody else and I'm like, oh, Ty's doing his thing, radiating his perfect smile. And, Billy's got his perfect smile, and I'm never going to be like that. And so I just a reminder that with all the love and gratitude in my heart, these folks are human.
Isn't that funny how we even have discussions about that? I mean, if you guys want a little bit of a insight, go back to how all of this started, like consider like the Big Bang. And we think that we're different. We all came from the same exact thing. So when you hear say something that you love, that's you. Same thing. We're all the same person. So that's another thing you could do, Nikki, is just like recognize that if you're looking at someone that you perceive has what you want, that's just a reflection that you already have it, that you can even see it. You know, it's interesting. Billy, any, we're at the top of the hour. Oh, do you want to say something, Leah? Go for it. With
I
your
do, and
leaving here.
I don't know where the hand raise button is, but I wanted to add another perspective. And when I'm listening to everyone talk about, how perfect they are or how perfect they're not, or those are sort of judgments that we, can have on ourselves. And one thing that I realized is, I've been dealing with like a huge life change and came back from Arkana a few weeks ago and have been integrating. But it really has to do with your lower self, which isn't you. It's the matrix, it's the programs. And then you have the higher self, which is you, which is trying to infiltrate and become. And it's, maybe we're all not messed up. Maybe we all came here on a mission. Maybe we already know how to do this. Maybe we had to immerse ourselves into the pain. Maybe we had to immerse ourselves into very difficult families so that we can transmute that energy for ourselves and for our ancestors. And maybe whenever we clear that up with that within ourselves, because everything is quantum and everything is holographic, maybe the work that we do now heals past generations and future generations. Maybe there's nothing wrong with us. Maybe we're extremely strong souls. Maybe we're extremely wise. And maybe we came here on a mission to do this so that we can have a better earth and a better humanity. But we first have to know what it is within ourselves so that we can recognize it and assist others. So if we look at that, and if we look at things that we don't like within ourselves, or if there's thoughts, feelings, or activities or habits, they're just from another era within you. It's like that's not who you are. It's just in your program. And being diligent and just witnessing ourselves without judgment, you're like, oh, that's the old program. And I realized, we have to clear out the lower part of ourselves so that we can reach the higher part of ourselves. Because if the whole thing isn't integrated, then we're going to be pulled down somewhere. We have vulnerability, and we can be corrupted in some way. So I think that what we're doing is we're cleaning the energy so there's no frequency or no part of ourselves that can be attached to that corruption can find. And the higher we go, the more in service we can be. But without clearing out the lower, then we're going to just find ourselves back in service to ourselves. So it's very difficult, and it's an arduous thing, but it's like what I've been doing is paying way too much attention to my lower self. I've been looking at it, I've been analyzing it, I've been working with it, I've been trying to wash it away, I've been trying to reprogram it and all that stuff. But like and I'm realizing now it's like it's really changed myself. It's really changed my ability to really appreciate who I am, because I've been focusing more on the lower, and now I'm beginning to focus more on the higher self. Well, that's just my lower self. What would my higher self think in this moment? What would my higher self do? What activities would my higher self bring? And a lot of times you just have to pause and line up with that, just like Valerie was saying. Just get back into the breath and line up with those aspects of you, because that's who you truly are. And love, you have to actually just love and accept all those versions of yourself and bring it into your heart. Anything that you reject amongst with yourself is going to be brought up in your reality, like really hard, really fast for you to look at and finally accept. So I just wanted to throw that out there. I love, because I was a giver, just like, is it Ty? I'm a giver, and if you don't give to yourself, then you end up empty, but you still have to keep giving, and you end up more and more and more empty. And then that creates a downward spiral too, because it makes you believe that you don't deserve the love that you're giving. So it's that's really not true. It's just a perception from exhaustion. Anyway, I wanted to throw that out there and just let everyone know on this call just how beautiful you really are, and how I see you and appreciate you, and how much this conversation has really meant to me. It really resonates. And I don't know, I just felt like I wanted to toss in my 2 cents of from the meditations and the experiences that I've had also.
I
So
think
thank you.
that was a little more than 2 cents. That was like a quarter. Bob, go for it. That was
No,
actually.
I think I'm done. I think
No, no, no.
I
I
just
mean,
wanted like
I mean, value wise, you know, just so it's so great to hear people that are fresh off of retreat, you know, because you guys are just like that. That's the idea. Is like, I hope you come back next month and we get that again. That would
thank
be
you.
a nice goal. Go ahead, Bob. You got to unmute.
I'm doing that.
There we go. How's that? No? I'm sorry.
You're good. You're good.
Okay. Well, how you doing, everybody? Good to see you. I just want to touch on a few things. You know, as a facilitator and hearing that, knowing that we are humans also, first of all, I'd like to thank all of you for being guests at Arkana. And, you know, you think that we hold space for you, but you hold space for us also. And thank you for allowing us to be a part of your journey. And thank you for being a part of our journey, mine specifically. One thing that I learned early in the medicine is that the only thing it taught me was just to be myself. The liberating gift of being oneself is a beautiful experience. And for me, I didn't know that's what I came to heal for. That's what I needed, and that's what the medicine gave me. And in being liberated in that way, one of the things I learned is that everything that happens when you're a guest at Arkana or when you're at Arkana is medicine. And learning to live with the medicine that we are, that you are, is the goal. And, you know, fulfillment for me is it's never a destination, it's a journey, you know, of continuing every day to learn and make mistakes and be human. You know, and in the sense of integration, that is what it's an ongoing process. You're never integrated. You continue to integrate, learn from your mistakes. I learn from my mistakes all the time. I make plenty of mistakes, and have made plenty of mistakes. You know, I love Arkana. Arkana not only saved me life, it showed me what life was. It, you know, and I think what it teaches us all to do is to let life live through us, not around us. And that is the journey. And one of the ways that I integrate on a daily basis, because integration is an ongoing process forever. You're never done integrating, is, you know, even when you leave Arkana, you're not leaving the ceremony, because life becomes the ceremony. And one of the things we talk about, and you're all familiar with the 4 pillars, is every day of life is a ceremony. And as long as I maintain focus and intention on a daily basis, that's my direction. I think it was Billy talking about the waves and the cycles of everything going up and down. And it's very important for me to maintain that focus, that intention every day to be the best that I can. And that's living, that's searching for the divine, and the divine is each one of us, the divine that is in us. And what I've learned also is that, I think Billy once again was talking about the altar. The altar is within. It is the individual temple that we have, that we continue to feed, to make the light shine brightly in each and every one of us, and especially for myself. And it's all a learning process. And I'm blessed to be a facilitator at Arkana, and I've devoted my life to doing that. Just a little about me, if you don't mind me sharing. I'm 70 years old. I came to Arkana 6 years ago, thinking I knew what healing was. And when the medicine presented me with just Bob, myself, and to be myself, I had no idea that that's what healing was. And that was truly a gift for me. And, as I always say, I hope everybody finds that gift of themselves. When I see guests come to Arkana, I don't see troubled individuals. I see beautiful people. And just so you know, I see you, and I love you all. And thank you for being part of my journey. Billy, I love you. Thank you for teaching me and allowing me to grow. That's really all I have to say. Thank you.
Imagine a world where that would just be just Bob.
Just Bob.
Just Bob is fine. It's just fine. Thanks so much for sharing, Bob. It was great to have you with us today. Billy, any closing announcements? Let's hear about the reunion idea.
Next year there'll be 2 reunion retreats. I'll let you know the exact dates because I've forgotten. One will be like in the first half of the year. The second one, I think, in May. It's going to be in the valley. So Bob's the facilitator in the valley for those of you who haven't met him. So he'll be there for the reunion retreat. And Bob we call inspiration officer. He's an inspiration for everybody. Like, if you meet him, you'll learn more about his journey and his story. But he's an inspiration to everybody, actually. And so that's going to be in the first half of the year. Second half of the year, we're going to do a reunion retreat in Kungi, which is where we just were in Mexico. That place is a piece of art. And so we'll do one in the valley with a custom schedule, and then we'll do one in the later part of next year also. Valeria and I's teacher, he says there is no final attainment, just like Bob's saying. Like, he always refers to enlightenment. People think I'm enlightened, or it's a final attainment, but as soon as you think that you're enlightened, or you've attained enlightenment, you're no longer enlightened. And I love that concept, which is like, as soon as you think you have it, you don't have it anymore. And it's a continuous journey of distilling love and light into us. And I was thinking about what Leo was talking about, like higher and lower versions of ourselves, of energy, frequency, and vibration. I don't know if any of you have seen like Shadley diagrams or the Shadley patterns. The Shadley patterns are basically like, you put sand on a metal plate and then you play frequency through the metal plate, and it creates mandala and geometric patterns in the sand. The higher you turn the frequency up, the more beautiful, coherent, intricate these patterns get. When you relate this to characteristics, values, morals of human energy, again, you can quantify this scientifically. It's like, what is like a high vibration? What is a high energy frequency vibration? What's low? And if you look at that, what you'll see is like love, gratitude, kind.
I think we're losing Billy. You guys losing him?
Yeah.
It's a good.
JC, you want me to do my Billy impression till he
Traits
gets back?
between the two.
Billy, we lost. You just were in a wormhole.
No, I can hear you. I can hear.
Okay, yeah, we lost you for a second, but you're back.
I kind of want to hear my Ari's impression, to be honest.
Mhm.
And also, I was
I'm
thinking,
Billy, and love is light. Everything's great. Be yourself.
I was thinking during orientation, my name in Shipibo is Choncho Mapo, which is chicken head. And can you hear me? Is it frozen again?
No, we can hear you. Chicken head.
Okay. Oh, chicken head. I was also going to maybe introduce myself as a donkey as well.
They call me a chicken head,
Donkey
even though
chicken
I'm
head.
very handsome.
I'll stop because my internet will go. But echoing what Bob says, thank you all for coming. And also spread this because more people should come.
Awesome.
Like, this is beautiful. I love it.
So wonderful session today. I do these ideas. I always make them into like blogs and put them on my Substack, which is free if you guys want them. But one of the things that I think would be really, really nice is to see this grow, because it would be an indication of all those people that, we don't know what we don't know. So a lot of people are out there trying to, access that not now concept, when it might be finding out about Valeria's breath work. It might be hearing one of you guys say something today, that just shines a light on something for people. So just from a mission standpoint, I think that a lot of people would benefit from this. So they'll have the recording of it and stuff, but this is something that I love to pay forward. Thanks so much for taking time away from your busy lives and family. We will be back in a month. And one thing I would say is maybe we should just entertain using the word maybe more, right? Not having to like be right and know things, nobody likes to know it all, right? Why don't we just like say, maybe I'm not right. Like that would be maybe a nice power move of the day. So love and appreciate you all. Have an amazing day, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.